Hello everyone, this is a review of the NF-8209 network tester. You'll see here it comes with a nice blue carrying case, and on the inside here you get an instruction manual. I personally didn't use this. It's pretty self-explanatory if you've used these kinds of testers before on how it works. But in here you'll see you have the tester itself, and one thing that's different about most other models of tester is that it has a separate port for each different function. So just keep that in mind when you use it. But it comes with the tester, a wire map, just your basic wire map, and also a toning wand. And it's got 3 different modes, digital, analog, and NCV. And it's got a sensitivity adjustment and a flashlight on it. So first is the tester here. I used it to install a couple cameras, a couple IP cameras for some friends, and it worked pretty good for that. I didn't have any issues with it. The function I used the most was the continuity function, and it worked pretty well. It didn't ever give me any false positives or false negatives. It's real simple. So the functions it's got on it is continuity, length, scan, which uses the toning probe here, and PoE, which basically tells you the voltage and the PoE specification on the port. It's really useful if you have a switch or something and you don't know what kind of PoE it's outputting. And then the port flash, which basically what you do is hook this into a port. Say you had like a patch panel or something and you were trying to figure out what port the device was plugged into, you could use the port flash function for that. And then there's just settings here. It's just filled with basic settings like the language, backlight, and the auto off. To start off here, I'm going to show the continuity function, and for that I have two separate boards here. So this one is a pre-made patch cable. I think it's a Cat5e cable, and then this one is one I made myself. Basically, one of the pairs is crossed, so it should give a bad reading for that. So just to start off, we're going to test the good cable, and it's real simple. You just plug one end into the wire map and the other one into the continuity port on the tester. You do OK, and it'll tell you it can do all these cables. It should work regardless. And OK to test, and what it's showing here is that on each pin of the cable, it's telling you that it's a straight through cable. If any of these were crossed anywhere, or if they were open, that would tell us that, you know, we've got a bad cable, or it's a crossover cable, depending on what pairs were crossed with what. Just to show you that, I'm going to go ahead and test the other cable, the one I made. And you'll see here that when I do the test again, it shows us that 5 and 6 are crossed. So it definitely works, and I used it extensively on a camera install with runs that were at least, 50 feet, and I didn't have any issues with this function of the tester. It works really well, especially for the price. Basically, for the length, it just shows you how long the cable is, and how that works is you plug it up here in the top port, the length port, and then by default it's set on meters. You have to change it to foot if that's what you want, and then you can click start test here, and it should test the cable. and it says right here that it is about 8 feet, which is pretty much, you know, right where it should be. The next function I want to go over, and I used this a couple times on the project I had this weekend, was the scan function. And it's real simple. All you do is you plug your cord. So if you're at a patch panel or something like that, and you were trying to trace back a cable, and you didn't know where it went, you could use the scan function here, and it would give you a good idea of where it is. So basically, it's got 3 different modes: digital, analog, and PoE mode. Digital mode is probably going to be your most reliable. Basically, it corresponds with the wand here, and you just hold down that middle button, and then once it's on, you can press through it, and it'll switch the modes. So digital mode is probably your most reliable one you want to use. Analog will sometimes pick up other sounds that it's not supposed to and give you false readings. But basically, the way it works is basically you just dial up your sensitivity until you get a sound, and then you can kind of dial it back until you pick up the cable. Okay, so I'm here in my network area of my house, and you'll see here I have it plugged into a PoE switch. And if we go to the PoE testing and do a PoE test, it's basically saying we have PoE 802.3 AT, which is correct. This switch is outputting PoE 802.3 AT. And it gives you a voltage reading, and it tells you what pairs are outputting the PoE. So basically, this is just telling us that it's running in PoE A mode. So if you know the difference between the modes, it gives you some useful information there. So it's very simple with that. Okay, so I have it plugged into the linked flash port. So if you see here, we go to the flash function and do OK, you'll see that on the switch, the amber light will start blinking, and it coincides with the blinking on the device. So it's a little indicator that can kind of tell you what port you're plugged into, and it works pretty well. So I use this tester for about a week now, and I used it on a job that required me to run a bunch of runs of Cat5e for IP cameras. And I use this tester here to test a lot of the cables, and I used it to also test the PoE because I did do some runs. Well, all of the runs had PoE. So it worked out pretty well. I didn't have any issues with the tester itself. It gave me pretty good readings, and the wire map's really handy because the other tester I was using was just one of those ones that sends the pulse through the wire and it lights it up on the other end. So basically got to run back and forth to kind of see, if you have a good cable. But with this, you plug the wire map in on one end, and then you plug your tester in on the other, and it basically gives you the reading right there. So it works really good, and I did use the toning function as well to trace some wires back, and it works. It's not as sensitive as some of the Fluke stuff, but this isn't a Fluke device. Fluke devices are, a couple $1,000s. And honestly, if you're just, a small time IT technician and you want something to kind of just put inside your toolkit, this is actually a really good tester to just have. And you know, if you just need to make a cable real quick, it's a real good tester for that. I just say, you know, it's a good tester all around, and you know, for what it is, it works real good. So yeah, I'd highly recommend this tester. Um, so, and that's pretty much it.